These are the Brum Tech Seed interviews. I'm Stuart Langridge, and I'm here in Urban Coffee Company, here on Church Street in Birmingham, talking to Simon Jenner, CEO of Oxygen Startups.
Hi.
Good morning, Simon.
Hey, good morning.
So, tell me a bit about what it is you do.
Yeah, what is it I do? So, I run Oxygen Startups, and Oxygen Startups is a bunch of programs that help entrepreneurs go from idea stage right through to investment. And mainly tech startups, although not exclusively, and tech's a pretty broad church these days. So we run a thing called Launch 48, which is a weekend event. We run a pre-accelerator, which is a week-long event. And then we run our accelerator, which is 3 months, and that's where we start to invest in startups, small amounts of capital. And then we have an angel network as well that invests, £100,000 to £1 million in tech startups.
You might want to go into a bit more detail about that. I'm not sure everyone knows what an accelerator is.
Yeah, so accelerator is a fairly new term, but probably becoming pretty much established, particularly if you're into the tech scene. But basically, an accelerator is different to an incubator in that it does stuff faster, accelerates, typically 3 months, and you're actually investing into the startups, whereas many incubators are a desk, a bit of mentoring, etc., but there's no investment. So that's the kind of differentiator. There's like thousands of them around the world now, but it's born in the US, California, Silicon Valley, and came to Europe. Probably the earliest one is about 2007. We've been going since 2011.
So imagine I've got some brilliant idea for a new tech startup, and I'm going to have a mobile app and a website and so on and so forth. What do? I just ring you up and say, "Hi Simon, can I have £1 million?" Or
yeah, exactly. No.
I'm doing that now.
So what you do is you maybe come to a weekend event and learn some of the kind of techniques and skills around lean startup and things like that, to take your idea from that idea, initial shell, and just test it to see whether it's even got any legs. You then might come on a pre-accelerator, which gives you a week to really get into the detail of it and move it forward and start to work out, well, what am I actually going to build? Is there really a customer out there for this? Will they pay for it? That sort of thing. So we do that over a week. And then at that point, once you've got a prototype, probably it's launched into the App Store if it's a mobile app, and you've got a few customers, maybe still free, but you've got some people using the app, then you might be ready for us to invest at an accelerator level. But really, if you want £1 million off us, you've got to have customers, you've got to have revenue, you've got to have a team, you've got to have all that stuff sorted. So yeah, starting at kind of the idea, working through, and it's probably a 2-3 year journey just to get to that point of being ready for $1 million investment.
That makes sense. How many companies are you currently working with, invested in? How many startups?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we do 1,000 entrepreneurs per year through one of our programs. 1,000?
Wow,
yeah.
That's a lot higher than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, so we run it, so particularly our weekend event, we run them all over the world, so Melbourne, Sydney, Moscow, Cape Town, Berlin, London, and Birmingham, of course, and lots of other cities. So yeah, 1,000 people through there. We're investing in about 30 to 40 startups a year, but we're actually helping around about 100, 150 startups.
So you mentioned there a huge worldwide presence, a bunch of rubbish cities, Sydney and London and Paris and so on. But you're in Birmingham, which is clearly the best city on that list. Why? What brings you here and what keeps you here?
Yeah, so I've been here 14 years now. Came because of a girl, so isn't that always the way you're chasing around the world after ladies? So I've been here ever since. So family here, etc. So I kind of guess my roots are now here. I'm not sure I can call myself a Brummie yet, but
I think it's a minimum of 20 years and probably more. I'm the same.
So this is my home. So I'm really passionate about supporting the tech ecosystem in Birmingham for that reason, because it's where I live.
That's one of the things I wanted to ask about. I mean, obviously, your day job with running Oxygen Startups, but you're also fairly passionately involved in the tech scene in general. We've talked about this in some depth before. Absolutely. So, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the other stuff that's going on that you're involved with or want people to know about that's that's part of the tech ecosystem in Birmingham?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, of course my day job's in tech startups, but actually, we actually pull very few tech startups from Birmingham because we're pulling from all over the world. And therefore, I guess my passion around Birmingham is really because this is where I live, and not necessarily because I'm trying to create, a customer for us necessarily. I just don't think it wouldn't be big enough to sustain us. Just to clarify that. So yeah, what else is happening? So a kind of a bunch of the tech startup-y people, so the tech CEOs, leaders of the startups, we kind of got together a year ago and said, look, there's kind of stuff going on. It's a bit fragmented. It's some good stuff, but it's all happening all over the place. Lots of people don't know what's happening and don't know each other, etc. How do we kind of join this up a bit and get people pointing in the same direction so that we can have a common voice, we can start to grow the ecosystem, which is good for everybody. And out of that kind of came Silicon Canal, kind of a horrible play on Silicon Valley or
Silicon Roundabout in London.
Birmingham's got more canals than Venice, that type of thing. And that's a very loose-fitting, organisation. I don't even call it that. Some guys that meet in the pub at the moment. And we're just running a bunch of projects around some of the things that we think are missing from the ecosystem.
Yeah, now that's obviously I'm a regular attender of Silicon Canal, and for instance, there was the summer barbecue only a couple of weeks ago. Now, as we record this, and that was enormously well attended. I've never seen a Birmingham event that well attended. There were 130 or so people there?
Something like that. I think it was over 200 signed up, but as usual we get them there. Yeah, so 130, 140 people.
That's fantastic. A genuine question here. Where are those people all the rest of the time?
I don't know, that's it, that's the thing. So we've gone from having 60, 70 on the kind of the group, meet-up group, to having 350 or something that really appeared because we said there's a barbecue going on and free beer. So I think that's what we need, is it's free food and free beer, we'll bring them out. I think the reality is that they're all out there, but they're just busy either running their own businesses or in digital agencies or in other creative organisations, digital organisations, and we just haven't got to them yet. They're not the ones that are looking for us, and therefore it's taking time to get into those companies.
I think it feels to me like the city tech scene is starting to get to a tipping point. People are doing things independently. There's Daniel Holland set up Birmingham.io, the forum. The idea of being a place where everyone can discuss everything. Yep. And you've got Silicon Canal doing a bunch of stuff. I'm doing these interviews.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's brilliant. It's the point at which everything starts to snowball, where it becomes self-sustaining, and you haven't got you or Kath or people, behind the scenes attempting to get stuff going. There's always been quite a lot of stuff going on in Birmingham, but the important thing you said there is to join the dots, to join things up a bit.
Exactly. Yeah, and give support to those individuals, because I think there's lots of people who've been running meet-up groups and all sorts of get-togethers for years. And struggling to keep them sustained because they're the only one that's doing all the hard work and all the heavy lifting around organising speakers and all that sort of stuff, and feeling like, why the hell am I still doing this when last week only 20 people turned up? So I think if we can act as the ecosystem can start to work together to support each other and promote each other's events and help with speakers and all those type of things, it just becomes easier, and like you say, the snowball just gets bigger and bigger and starts rolling faster.
Totally agree. So we need a help an event organiser weekend or something.
We do, exactly, yeah, we do.
If nothing else, there's a whole load of pooled knowledge out there about things like how to run events, where a good venue is, who's happy with sponsoring your event for pizza, who you probably don't want to talk to about that, so and getting together and everyone helps everybody, a rising tide raises all the boats, which is exactly what we're looking for. So, as we said, there's an awful lot of stuff going on around the city, and I'm wandering around with a video camera and a dream, trying to talk to all of these people. Who do you think I should talk to next?
So many people, so many good people. But I would go and speak to Andy Higgs, who used to run Higgs Design Company, great digital agency, but is now got a startup or working in a startup, etc. So he's a great guy to speak to because he's kind of crossed over the two worlds, gone from the agency world, which we have loads of in Birmingham, and some really good agencies, but he's kind of taken it onto the dark path and gone over to being a startup.
The dark path. I'm not sure you're supposed to say things like that.
I think it's a much tougher line of business to be in than maybe an agency. I'm not saying agencies are easy, but I think it's a bit easier.
I can see that. And final question: what's your favourite biscuit?
My favourite biscuit, hobnob. As Peter Kay would say, you can't, it's the hobnob. It's the commando of biscuits.
Excellent. Right. Thank you very much for coming, for talking to all of us.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon Janner.
Cheers.